The shocking biblical truth about Iran's mysterious destiny revealed in ancient scriptures. Few knew what truly happened that night in ancient Persia. A night when shadows danced alongside whispers of prophecy. It was a time of unrest, a tapestry of fear woven through the very fabric of life. The flickering oil lamps cast eerie shapes on mud brick walls, as a storm brewed outside, both in the skies and in the hearts of the people. In the midst of it all stood the city of Susa, vibrant yet suffocating with tension. There, the cry of national identity battled against foreign domination. The fate of a people hung in the balance, intertwined with dreams and visions. In a dimly lit chamber, a mirror of the heart's deepest desires, a king sat troubled. A sleepless figure burdened with secrets, whose reign brought prosperity but at a grave cost. Then came the flicker of an unexpected messenger, an angelic figure clad in a shimmering robe, suspended between earth and heaven. Confusion danced in the air as he delivered a warning: your choices shape not only your destiny but that of nations. The striking words landed heavy, as if dipped in the essence of truth. As the king pondered, shadows grew larger. A vision unfolded, mountains crumbling, waters turning to blood, and the cries of a once powerful empire falling to its knees. Unexplained signs flashed through his mind, markers of an impending doom. The people of Susa were unaware, moving about their routines, while the walls of their homeland trembled with prophecy. Would they heed the warnings? Would they grasp the chance to alter the tide of fate? With each heartbeat, the tension mounted. The king wrestled with his decisions. Conspiracies whispered round every corner. Trust was a currency rarely traded, suspicion breeding within their ranks. The air thickened, charged by the weight of the unknown. What would happen next? What choice would the king make in the shadow of heaven's decree? Just then, silence engulfed the room, a shocked stillness. The unpredictable fate of a nation loomed on the horizon. The ground beneath the king's feet felt unstable. What path would be chosen to navigate this looming darkness? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The night deepened in Susa, with shadows shifting like ancient spirits across the cityscape. The king, still engulfed in uncertainty, rose from his seat, eyes fixed on the ethereal figure that had pierced his veils of doubt. What must I do? He implored, the weight of his crown suddenly feeling heavier than any golden tiara could suggest. The celestial messenger lingered, his countenance radiant but filled with the urgency of the moment. To every choice, there is a consequence, he said, his voice echoing as if the very walls were listening. You stand at the crossroads, chosen to be a vessel of change. Beware, the sands of time slip swiftly beneath the feet of those unprepared. The king's heart raced at the enormity of the moment. He thought of his people, of the farmers who tended to humble fields, the merchants who bartered for survival, and the children whose laughter filled the air with fleeting joy. Their fates were intricately woven into the fabric of his decisions, but what if his choices veered from the course of righteousness? With each passing hour, the tempest outside raged, mirroring the tumult within. The winds howled like forgotten souls threatening to upend the city. The visions from earlier resurfaced, mountains collapsing, streams of crimson water flowing through once familiar paths. Dread clawed at the back of his mind. Was this merely a warning, or a glimpse of his deepest fears made manifest? The angelic figure continued, beyond the darkness, there lies a choice, a chance for redemption and renewal. You must seek wisdom to decipher these omens. He gestured toward the opening skies, which crackled with electric anticipation. Gather those who are wise among your people, their voices shall guide you, for they may yet reveal the secrets etched in the cosmos. With that, the messenger faded, returning to the realm from whence he came, leaving the king alone with swirling thoughts and a heavy heart steeped in responsibility. He ventured toward the window overlooking the city, peering into the heart of Susa as the storm unleashed torrents of rain. Each raindrop seemed to carry the whispers of the past, stories of hope long forgotten and yet to be revived, but who should he trust? Which of his advisers, steeped in ambition and power, could deliver true counsel? The streets outside were shrouded in shadow, life slowed as the storm drummed against rooftops. The cries of his people were muffled beneath the tempest, and as he listened, the air thickened with impending fate. The king summoned his most trusted adviser, a man revered for his wisdom, Ezra, whose insights often pierced the fog of uncertainty. But would the lords of the court allow such counsel, or had ambition already set its claws in them? Doubt flickered in the king's heart. Time pressed against him, he could not afford hesitation. Each moment spent in uncertainty drew the prophecy closer. Should he act swiftly, rallying the wise, or take the time to weigh every potential path ahead? Tonight's answers remained elusive, like shadows dancing just beyond the reach of light. As the storm raged on, would he find the courage to confront his fears, both his own and those of his people? Would the whispers in the darkness serve as guidance or only deepen the mystery surrounding his choices? In this moment of reflection, a question lingered in the air: what wisdom lies buried within the hearts of those we often overlook, waiting only for the chance to illuminate the path forward? As dawn broke over Susa, the storm had ceased, leaving the city cloaked in a heavy mist that hung like a shroud. The golden rays of the sun struggled to penetrate the veil of clouds, casting a dim light across the cobblestones glistening with rain. The king, having wrestled through the night with the weight of prophecy, prepared himself to summon Ezra and others who might guide him through the impending darkness. The king's mind raced with the implications of the celestial message he received. He pondered the elders of the city, those marked not by titles but by the depth of their understanding and insight. They were the bakers whose hands kneaded the dough, the midwives who welcomed new life, and the storytellers who preserved history through the fabric of their tales. Each possessed a wisdom that might bear the keys to his dilemma, yet he feared the court's jealousy and scorned that he summoned the guards and instructed them to search the alleys of Susa for the wise, those whose voices echoed beyond the thrones and gold. He envisioned their collective strength interwoven with his own, a tapestry of voices reaching toward the narrative that seemed to stretch far beyond their time. As they scoured the city, the king took a moment to reflect on the weight of the crown he wore. Would the wisdom found among the humble be brave enough to confront the might of the court? He recalled the verses from the ancients that spoke of the value of humility and spirit over power and title, for the meek shall inherit the earth. This thought offered him a glimmer of hope amidst the uncertainty. In the quarters of Susa, whispers over calamity began to mingle with thoughts of fortitude. The marketplace, once bustling with the effects of the storm, began to stir back to life. Sensing the urgency of the moment, the king walked among his people, cloaked beneath the guise of an ordinary citizen. Perhaps hidden beneath the guise of simplicity lay the wisdom he sought. He encountered a woman, her hands rough yet gentle as she wove baskets from reeds by the riverside. "What do you see for our people?" he asked, his voice steady but with a murmur of curiosity. Her gaze met his, piercing but unyielding as she replied, "The river flows but cannot be commanded, my lord. It moves with the seasons, our lives intertwining with its course. Fear not the storms, for they pass, but learn to navigate the waters they stir." The king held her words close, marveling at the depths of understanding found in simple actions. He continued through the streets, engaging with farmers, artisans, and his people at large. Each shared their stories, each one a thread that painted a clearer picture of the shared struggle they faced, interwoven with moments of joy that flickered like candle flames amidst the darkness. In the shadow of the palace, he finally encountered Ezra, who had gathered the elders in a humble setting away from the court. The old scribe raised an eyebrow in greeting, his parchment and quill resting lightly alongside the wisdom of the gathered. "What ails you, O king?" he asked, his voice filled with age-worn authority. "I seek the wisdom of our people, for a heavy burden rests on my shoulders," the king admitted, the stirring energies of the night still echoing in the recesses of his mind. "A choice lies before me, and I fear the consequences of my silence may alter our fate forever." Ezra nodded gravely. "The weight of responsibility is a mantle worn by few, but perhaps wisdom is seeking you even now in the voices you have called forth." Yet, as they engaged in discussion, a shadow crossed the sunlit faces of the elders. They spoke of tales long buried and prophecies yet to unfold, omens intertwining with the king's thoughts, drawing the lines toward fate and free will, choices and consequences. With each passing moment of deliberation, a new wave of uncertainty arose within the king's heart. If they ventured down this path of knowledge, what other truths might rise from the depths of their shared existence? What hidden destinies were woven into the lives of those who gathered? And what sacrifices must they contemplate for the good of many? As the gathering deepened, one last question hung in the air, a silent specter that stirred the hearts of all present. What burdens of knowledge must we bear to seek the light amidst the shadows of our lives? As the sun crept higher into a clearer sky, the elders gathered under the shade of a gnarled tree, its branches heavy with the weight of years. The peeling bark was a testament to the harsh seasons it had weathered, just as the wisdom in the eyes of those assembled bore witness to the trials of their people. The king felt the air thrum with unspoken fears and hopes, a heaviness that matched the burden on his heart. Ezra stood, his voice a beacon among the murmurs. "We find ourselves at a crossroads, my friends," he began, his gaze sweeping over the gathering. "The storms of the heavens deliver messages not merely to be seen, but to be understood by those who dare to listen. We are entwined with these celestial events, as they thread through our lives like the roots of this very tree." The king nodded, inviting the wise words that flowed from the gathered souls. Each elder spoke in turn, weaving their experiences and insights into a tapestry of understanding that illuminated the shadows lingering in the corners of the king's mind. They spoke of their ancestry, tales of exile and return, of hope resurfacing from despair, and of the trials faced in generations past. One voice rose above the rest, a voice not heard before, belonging to a man known for his quiet demeanor. "It is said that destiny is not a straight path. It winds and turns, presents obstacles, and offers guidance through riddles. Perhaps our very existence is a riddle, meant to challenge and to teach." His words lingered, stirring a deep reflection within the assembly. The king's heart ached as he considered the implications. If destiny could be riddled with choices, how then did he discern between the whisper of prophecy and the call of human will? Each choice he pondered bore potential consequences that could ripple through the tapestry of their lives. What threads, once pulled, might unravel the fabric of their existence? The elders continued to share stories not just of past victories but also failures, moments where fear overshadowed faith, where doubt had seeped like rain into tender soil. As they spoke, the king felt the walls around his heart begin to crack, allowing the light of self-realization to seep through. The weight of his position turned from one of isolation to a shared burden. Then, amidst their ramblings of struggles and the silent prayers raised to the heavens, a silence fell, a collective intake of breath, as an old woman with weathered hands spoke. "Know this, storms do not come to destroy but to reveal. They show both the strength and frailty of the earth beneath our feet." What truth lies hidden within the storms of your heart, O king? Intrigued yet unsettled, the king wrestled with her words. He thought of the darkness sweeping over Susa, the calamity on the horizon, and the potential for rebirth that lay within. Could the answers he sought be buried deep within his fear? Was the struggle itself a sacred part of the journey? As the sun reached its zenith, casting a warming glow over the elders' wise faces, he felt the stirrings of a resolve within him. Perhaps there was a divine thread weaving through this chaos, suggesting that amidst all the meetings of fate and choice, there lay hidden lessons waiting to be uncovered. As they prepared to delve deeper into their dialogue, a question pervaded the atmosphere, a question not easily answered. What hidden truths about ourselves are illuminated only through the trials we face together as a community? As the day continued to unfold, shadows began to stretch across the ground beneath the elders. The conversations deepened, and the weight of the previous discourse hung thick in the air. With hearts open to the divine and minds eager for understanding, the group contemplated what lay beyond their immediate struggles. Ezra leaned forward, a flicker of determination igniting his voice once more. "Let us reflect on the words of the prophets who have come before us," he suggested. Those who have walked this land, witnessing the ebb and flow of fortune and despair. Their messages often intertwine with the very nature of our trials. The elders nodded, some murmuring prayers under their breaths, as the wisdom of ages seemed to settle around them. They recalled the story of Daniel, who faced his own storm while in a land that was not his own. Ezra recounted how Daniel's faith, unwavering in the face of adversity, had inspired a nation within exile. What if, he ventured tentatively, we draw parallels between our experiences and his? Could our trials be seen as the furnace in which our resolve is tempered? An elder named Naomi nodded, her voice cracking with passion as she added, indeed, Daniel saw his fate entwined with the unfolding prophecy, yet it was his courage that ultimately shaped his path. The trials he faced were not without purpose, they carved the way for redemption and revelation. What does our own faith reveal when we face our storms? Intrigued, the king listened intently. The whispers of history began to echo within him, drawing forth questions that had long been buried. Could their current clamorous times be laden with prophetic significance, beckoning them to a destiny greater than themselves? As he pondered, he could not help but consider how often fear had held sway over the souls of his people. Might faith, even in the profundity of fear, help steer them towards an unseen grace awaiting on the horizon? Then, in a moment both poignant and surreal, an unexpected wind swept through the gathering, rustling leaves and drawing shivers among the elders. It felt as though the very breath of the earth had come alive, urging them to listen intently to the stories of their forebears. The king sensed that this was more than a passing breeze, it was an invitation to face the tumult of emotion swirling within him and around them. Eli, a man known for his contemplative nature, interjected softly, what if the fear of calamity we feel is but a reflection of the resistance we have against the transformation latent in our trials? Much like a tree bending in a storm, are we not also called to yield in order to grow? The king's chest tightened at Eli's words. Could it be that the act of surrender, the willingness to face the storm rather than evade it, was the very key to their salvation? What if, in releasing his grip on control, he could uncover the hidden wisdom that the storms had brought to his doorstep? As each elder contemplated the implications of Eli's inquiry, silence settled once more, pregnant with unformed thoughts. The rhythmic whispers of nature sang their own truths, and the air thickened with unanswered questions. The king's heart beat rapidly. What if, in seeking to control the storms around them, they were missing the lessons the calamity sought to impart? In this moment of collective rumination, the king felt a burning question rising within him, a question that would echo long after the sun dipped below the horizon and the stars shone bright. What if the true essence of destiny is not found in the clear skies but rather in how we choose to navigate the storms? As the evening deepened and a luminescent haze enveloped the gathering, the solemnity of the elders only grew. An almost ethereal glow settled in the air, drawing their thoughts deeper into an exploration of their own destinies. The king, with his heart resonating to the rhythm of the elders' discourse, felt every word like a wave washing over him. Let us not forget the story of Jonah. The voice of Miriam rose softly, reminding them that not all journeys unfold in acceptance of divine purpose. He, too, believed he could outrun his calling. In the belly of the great fish, surrounded by darkness, it was only through despair that he truly sought the light. What if our reluctance to acknowledge our own callings is akin to Jonah's flight? Do we, like him, need to descend into our own depths of turmoil before we can rise again? Ezra pressed a hand to his chin, deep in thought. Miriam's point is striking. Jonah's message teaches us that the sanctuary of complacency can become a prison when we ignore our true paths. Perhaps our fears are not simply obstacles but signposts directing us toward the growth that lies in acceptance. Ellis' brow furrowed as he contemplated this. What if the storms themselves are not evil but rather a divine tool meant to push us beyond our limits? Perhaps we must embrace the chaos to witness the beauty that emerges afterward. A chill swept through the gathering, momentarily disrupting their thoughts, as if the divine presence they sought was responding to their ponderings. The weight of the elders' shared wisdom deepened further, creating a tapestry of interconnected fates marked by divine encounters and unforeseen transformations. The king gazed out into the landscape, where the darkening sky loomed overhead. The realization struck him that storms may not only be storms, but rather, gateways to deeper understanding. Could it be, he spoke aloud, that our current trials are echoing the narratives of our ancestors? Are we the vessels through which their stories are meant to continue? What if we are called to rise, not just for ourselves, but for those who have come before us and those who will follow? As their eyes locked in solemn contemplation, each elder felt the burden of their legacy resting upon their shoulders. They were not merely participants in their story but bearers of a collective faith that spanned generations. Each trial and tribulation held significance, a thread woven into the rich fabric of their existence. Suddenly, from the edge of the assembled group, a voice emerged, faint yet firm. And what of the uncertainty that surrounds us? How do we reconcile this divine invitation with our human fears? Are we even ready to face what is yet to come? The speaker was a young boy, his innocence a stark contrast to the heaviness of their conversation. But his question struck a chord, reverberating through the hearts of those present. The elders fell silent, suddenly confronted by a profound reality. In striving to uncover the mysteries of their paths, they had not adequately pondered the weight of the unknown. There was an unsettling beauty in their pursuit of understanding, yet uncertainty remained a shroud. Feeling the weight of the question linger like a palpable mist, the king turned to the boy, his expression softened by newfound contemplation. What if the uncertainty itself carries the seeds of the future we have yet to comprehend? Is it not possible that this very confusion holds the answers we seek? In that moment, the air thickened again with possibility and doubt, each elder caught in a web of introspection. As the stars began to twinkle above a tapestry of fate woven across the night sky, the question remained: could the unknown, filled with uncertainty and fear, be the very birthplace of faith and transformation? As the stars began to twinkle above, illuminating the night with a glimmer of hope, the elders remained in a contemplative silence, pondering the depths of the boy's question. It was a moment steeped in gravity, where innocence met the weight of experience, and the veil between the known and the unknown thinned. The king felt a stirring in his heart, one that beckoned him to delve deeper into the essence of their conversation. Perhaps, he proposed, it is not our duty to take steps toward certainty, but to find strength in ambiguity. Can we, in our heart of hearts, embrace the notion that the divine narrative may not be fully revealed to us at this moment? Could our understanding of faith lie not in the clarity of our paths but in the trust we foster amidst the fog? Ezra nodded slowly, his brow still furrowed in thought. Throughout our stories, there are instances when the faithful were called into uncertainty. Abraham, too, knew not where he would end up when he left his home. Moses spoke with the Lord but trembled at the might of Pharaoh. Even Jesus, in his hour of need, cried out in anguish upon the cross. Yet, in each of these moments, uncertainty birthed a greater understanding of faith. Indeed, interjected Miriam, it is in the chaos that we encounter the sacred. Each of our forebears faced trials that seemed insurmountable, yet they were transformed by the weight of their faith in the unseen. They found strength through surrender, guiding them to shores of revelation they had yet to envision. With this, a subtle shift came over the gathering. The weight of despair began to lift, and a resilience emerged from within. The boy's question now felt like a pebble cast into still waters, rippling outward into the hearts of the elders, awakening a dormant courage that lay beneath their convictions. But what if we are unprepared for what is to come? Eli questioned, his voice quivering slightly. What if the growth we seek demands sacrifices we are not ready to make? Sacrifice and growth are often intertwined, the king replied, reflecting on the wisdom that surrounded him. The caterpillar does not emerge as a butterfly without first relinquishing its familiar form. Are we too not called to shed aspects of ourselves in order to accept the fullness of our destiny? And if so, how do we discern which parts must be surrendered? The air thickened again with a tangible uncertainty, for the question of sacrifice had an unsettling yet alluring quality. It urged even the elders to confront their own fears, their reluctance to divest themselves of comfort in pursuit of something greater. From the shadows of the gathering, another voice resonated, Dan elder whose presence had gone unnoticed until now. What we fear is not that which lies ahead, but what we must leave behind, she stated, her tone imbued with a quiet strength. It is in our clinging to the familiar that we often quash our growth. Thus, our journey toward understanding may often feel like a mourning of what was, as much as it is a celebration of what is to come. A chorus of nods rippled through the assembly, each elder feeling the echo of her words resonate within. In that moment, the divine dance of fear and trust began to reveal its intricate patterns, showing them that while the future was nebulous, the spirit of their ancestors surged through them, whispering encouragement to brave the unknown. The air grew heavy with contemplative reverie, as they contemplated their own lives. What shadows might they need to shed to embrace the light ahead? Could it be that their fears were not barriers, but the very pathways leading to their enlightenment? As the horizon began to blush with the coming dawn, a profound reflection emerged from the crowd. In acknowledging the light of their forebears and the darkness of their own uncertainties, they may find a greater truth about their present destiny. In this fleeting moment, the king raised a hand to draw the gathering's attention. Let us ponder together, what if the very essence of our faith is birthed not in the resolution of our struggles but rather in the unwavering courage to move forward amidst the currents of the unknown? In our acceptance of uncertainty, might we discover the truest version of ourselves? As the sun began to peer over the horizon, it cast a gentle light upon their gathering, but questions lingered like clouds on the cusp of sunrise. How do we truly ready ourselves for the transformations that are yet to come? The sun's first rays spilled into the clearing, illuminating the faces of those gathered, each etched with a mix of hope and trepidation. In this sacred morning light, they found a moment that beckoned for further reflection. The king's questions hung in the air like fragrant incense, urging each elder to examine their own hearts with more depth. Ezra broke the silence first, his voice steady though contemplative. To step into the unknown is to confront our deepest fears. Alongside faith, there lives an ancient adversary called doubt. Yet, must we not see that both coalesce to guide our choices? Perhaps doubt, when embraced, can act as a catalyst that propels us forward rather than an anchor that chains us to despair. Miriam, inspired by this thought, added, and isn't it through our communal stories that we find strength? Just as our ancestors crossed seas of uncertainty, we too can weave a narrative that transcends our immediate fears. This tapestry of faith and doubt may be plaited with threads of ancient struggles, yet every document, every oral recounting holds a flutter of divine purpose. The elder whose voice had risen from shadows, now stepped into the light, an air of serenity surrounding her. There is a truth in the layers of our existence. Perhaps the question is not merely what we must shed, but what we must uncover. Within us lies a forgotten heritage, an essence that connects us to the very fabric of creation. To acknowledge this connection is to acknowledge that each fear we face can lead us toward the reclamation of our sacred nature. All eyes turned toward her, captivated by the depth of her presence. She continued, if we are to unravel the mystery surrounding our destiny, we must understand our role within the cosmos, our interconnectedness not only to one another but to the divine narrative that weaves through time. Much like the prophets before us, we are part of a grand story, with roles to play that may feel less significant than they truly are. The king leaned forward, intrigued. But how do we become aware of these roles, especially when they often hide within layers of our daily lives? Do we not risk missteps, driven by confusion and the weight of indecision? In the midst of confusion, the elder replied, we must practice listening within the silence of our hearts. Our spirits are attuned to the whispers of the divine if we choose to be still. It is through our introspection that the voice of purpose reveals itself, not always as clarity, but as gentle nudges that guide our decisions. We must learn to trust the quiet urgency that resides within. A murmur of agreement filled the space, each elder considering their own moments of stillness and the insights born from them. What have they overlooked in their lives due to the distraction of fear? What truths might emerge in their quietest moments? However, Eli interjected, the tremor in his voice returning, what if those whispers lead us toward paths that require us to confront our greatest vulnerabilities? What if the journey we embark upon pulls us into darkness rather than light? The atmosphere thickened again with shared trepidation, and the elders felt the weight of this truth, that to walk the path of enlightenment often meant traversing the shadowed valleys of their own fears. Yet, dear brothers and sisters, the king reminded them, it is often within this very darkness that our light is forged. The alchemy of faith transforms fear into a fierce resolve, guiding us to uncharted lands. As the sun climbed higher, casting warm shadows across the assembly. Each elder found themselves reflecting on their own shadows, pondering the question, how do we reconcile the darkness within us as part of the divine calling to navigate the unknown, creating not only a path for ourselves but for generations that follow? As the day unfurled, the sun's embrace illuminated not only the elders' faces but also the unspoken fears lingering in their hearts. A gentle breeze swirled through the clearing, rustling the leaves overhead, as if carrying whispers of wisdom from ancient times. In that sacred space, a palpable tension sat among them, a hunger for understanding and meaning that reached beyond the immediate gathering. Ezra gazed beyond the circle towards the distant mountains framing their horizon, a place both feared and revered. Shall we not think of our sacred texts, of the stories inscribed with one simple yet profound truth? They remind us that trials are woven into the very fabric of our existence, each one an opportunity for revelation. His words sparked a fire of attention. Our ancestors faced insurmountable odds, battles with giants and enslavement, yet through fervent prayer and unwavering faith, they found liberation. What did they seek in those moments of desperation, if not a glimpse into the divine presence within their strife? Miriam responded, her thoughts flowing like a gentle river. Indeed, it was through their suffering that they were molded. However, we must ask ourselves, what legacy do we carry in our hearts that speaks to these stories? In our own trials, do we look for deliverance alone or the lessons buried within our pain? This relentless yearning to transcend our circumstances connects us through time, and it poses a question richer than mere survival. How can we transform our hardships into bridges for others? A sudden stillness enveloped the group, as if the weight of her observation summoned clarity that had lingered just out of reach. The elder, now further emboldened, shared, "There lies within our struggle a sacred truth. It is a crucible where our souls are honed. Each trial we face may feel isolating, yet they unite us in an ancient dance with creation itself." The elders leaned in, feeling the threads of connection she wove among them. But how do we convey this understanding to our children? Eli's inquiry pierced through the air, hesitant yet fervent. How do we advise them in their own journeys, without casting shadows of our fears upon them? Can we teach resilience without diluting the inevitability of confrontation with darkness? Perhaps, the elder mused, the essence of our teachings lies in our ability to illustrate our own experiences through storytelling. Just as the sacred texts illuminate the human condition, our own narratives possess transformative power, tying them to the wisdom of the ages. What if our revelations inspire them to embrace their own journeys with authenticity? As the sunlight danced upon the leaves, sparking radiance among the elders, a collective realization coursed through their hearts, a recognition that their true calling may not dwell solely in reclamation for themselves, but in the shaping of legacies that endure. We must seek not just to overcome our shadows, Miriam added softly, but to unfold them as parts of a greater mosaic, inspiring the next generation to walk boldly on paths once shrouded in fear. The air grew thick again, hanging heavy with anticipation as thoughts drifted to the youth waiting beyond the edge of the clearing. Could they be the torchbearers of this knowledge? Would they heed the call to explore the truths residing in foreboding shadows? The elders' gaze turned inward, each wrestling with their dynamics within the broader scope. A profound question began to unfurl in the silence. What narrative must we live so that the future can witness the harmonious convergence of light and dark, revealing the sacred essence of our shared journey? As the day wore on and the sun dipped lower in the sky, the gathered elders found themselves entwined in a profound contemplation that pressed upon their hearts. Waves of urgency rode on the air, their collective thoughts rife with the realization that the time for action was nigh. The king, embodying both authority and vulnerability, offered his voice, steady yet laden with emotion. If we are to shape destinies greater than our own, we must harness the unyielding fire of purpose that resides within each of us. But how do we manifest this clarity amidst the uncertainty looming on the horizon? Ezra, ever the wise anchor, responded, "Destiny unfolds not on the shores of predictability but rather in the depths of our willingness to face our storms. We must embrace every whisper of divine guidance and translate it into acts of courage to act, to care, to connect." His words were like embers fanned into flame, igniting a spirit of conviction among them. The young boy's innocent question resonated in the air again, calling forth clarity through simplicity. "Then what happens to the fear? What do we do with the darkness if it's always waiting? Miriam, casting a gentle smile, spoke with sincerity. Fear transforms when acknowledged, it becomes a companion rather than a foe. Together, with our stories, we can craft the armor of resilience. We may share our journeys with those who come after, imparting not only our victories but also our vulnerabilities, weaving a pattern of collective strength. Each elder felt her words resonate deep within, a call to authentically confront their own fears. The king leaned into the dialogue, inspired by the wisdom of his people. Together, we can forge a covenant not just to safeguard our legacy, but to openly embrace the complexity of our humanity. But how do we nurture the young without encumbering them with the weight of our past fears? A new elder, whose presence had become vibrant in the gathering light, raised a hand. We teach them to walk alongside us through our shadows, illuminating the paths with understanding, not just direction. Let them know that shadows possess stories yearning to be revealed, and from those stories, hope blooms. The group leaned in, pondering the power of shared narratives. The weight of truth settled upon them like a mantle woven from faith and understanding. The king drew breath to surpass the fear of his heart and said, "And in this sharing, we become not just guardians of tradition but architects of the future. Shall we rise together to sow these seeds of change amongst our people, encouraging them to embrace their narratives, and become vessels of their own light?" Unified, the elders nodded, resolved in their intent. With purpose, they stepped away from the shade of the ancient tree, hearts entwined in a commitment to nurture the souls of Susa, igniting a movement of transformation that would seem to pulse with the rhythm of the very earth beneath them. As twilight encapsulated the gathering, casting a golden hue over the rugged landscape, something extraordinary began to unfold. An ethereal light illuminated a path leading from the gathering of elders towards the heart of Susa, a luminous thread that beckoned them to follow. The air buzzed with electricity, a palpable sign that they were on the precipice of stirring awakening. In that moment, the city awoke with a collective breath, sensing a shift in the winds of change. Citizens emerged from their homes, drawn toward the warmth radiating from the elders' assembly. Curiosity sparked within the hearts of the people, as whispers of the shared narratives flowed like sweet incense, each word woven with sincerity and purpose. As the elders welcomed them, vibrant dialogue unfurled, stories of hope, trials, and light blended together, creating a living tapestry. The once quiet marketplace thrummed with life as laughter and voices mingled, resonating with a rhythm that eclipsed the despair that had lingered among them for too long. The king watched in awe as laughter erupted, witnessing how vulnerability ignited a powerful tapestry of connection, bridging generations as they unveiled shared struggles. He felt the stirring of the divine, rooted in the collective courage blossoming before him. Just as darkness faded into the gentle light of dawn, a remarkable twist unfolded. An ancient elder, long thought lost to the annals of time, emerged from the crowd, bearing wisdom etched through centuries. "What you feel," she proclaimed, her voice rich with authority, "is the rekindling of purpose. You have raised the threads of destiny across generations. This light, born from your journeys, has the power to transform not only Susa but embolden the fate of nations." The king, profound words echoing through his heart, felt unshackled from the fears that had once bound him. "Let us not merely seek to be saved but rather to enact change. Let our stories of struggle become the embers of hope for those who will walk beyond our time." With their hearts aglow, the people pledged to carry forward the lessons haunting the shadows, not shunning them but embracing them as relatives in the continuing story of Susa. And as nightfall surrendered to dawn, it became clear, the legacy of a people does not rest only on their trials but on their capacity to face them with unwavering faith, illuminating the less traversed paths of their journeys. Fear transformed into a beacon of possibility, persevering. In the echoes of the elders' teachings, within the vibrant interplay of hope pulsing through the community, the revelation became stark. A profound truth emerged: only through collective courage, communion, and surrender to the uncertainty can the mystique of destiny unfurl like a blooming flower under the nurturing sun. True strength, the kind that molds nations, derives from the shared human experience, anchored in authentic stories crafted in faith. As the sun's warmth cascaded over Susa, the story continued. It spiraled into the cosmos, becoming a living testament that transcended time. The people, both ordinary and extraordinary, found their heights in trust and unity, each revelation stoking the flames of faith that could not be extinguished. The destiny of Susa was no longer a haunting specter but a vibrant alliance beckoning all forward into the bright unknown.